Hello, I'm the 10-minute English teacher. Let's get you exam ready. Today we're thinking about GCSE English language and we're thinking about paper 2. You're joining me for a walkthrough. Today we're going to be thinking about question 1. Okay, so the first thing to know is that when you do an English language paper, you've got about an hour for the reading section and about 45 minutes for the writing section. That's section B. So we're going to start today by thinking about question 1. The paper starts with you needing to read the extract, so you've got enough time to really engage with that. So in the first 15 minutes you should have read your extract really carefully and then you've answered question 1. And then you've got a summary question, got a language analysis question, and then you have to compare the two sources for question 4. Today we're thinking about question 1. So we'll start with the extracts. We've got 2 to read. One will be a contemporary text and the other one will be from the 1900s. So today we're going to be looking at this. It's a recent newspaper article called A Fortnight in Thailand with Bags for Life. So I'll read that to you now and then we'll have a look at the second source. If you've not been to Southeast Asia, it's somewhere you should definitely aim to visit in your lifetime, provided you're not trying to reduce your carbon footprint. Travelling thousands of miles across the planet for a holiday in Phuket does make you feel a bit like someone putting oat milk in their tea after a hard day's work at a sausage factory. Stepping out of my hotel room, having arrived shortly before midday the day before, was nothing short of stunning. I felt like I'd never seen the colour blue before, or green for that matter. The forest hills were an electrifying lime colour. I stood completely spellbound and in awe of it all, which was unspoilt save for a majestic temple rearing its head from the jungle landscape. It would have taken over a century to build, by people who toiled knowing they'd never live to see the final spectacle. After a walk through a strip of busy yet inviting shops and bars, I found myself on the beach. I walked beyond the shade of the coconut trees, which had a unicorn-like quality, and walked for half a mile or so along the sand before stopping to buy some coconut water to drink from one of the small huts by the road barbecuing meat and fish. After finishing it, I was suitably refreshed, but left holding an empty coconut shell and pink plastic straw, which led me to look for a bin. I was a little frustrated not to see one, even though a bin or a skip would have stopped me from feeling quite so Robinson Crusoe. It was at that point I was brought back to earth by the familiar sight of a black bin bag, which I spied ominously floating in the sea. I walked into the sea and reached for the bag in waist-deep water, which was when I became overcome with grief. The sea was peppered with rubbish. Bottles, packets and filth floated miserably in the water, having made the journey, as I had, from miles afar. After spending an hour filling the bag, and another that had tried to bob past me, with plastic, I stood on the beach feeling quite proud of myself. And of course I had no right to. The following Tuesday I was all set to do some really serious damage, for that was when I was due to fly home. Okay, so that's source A. Source B is the older text today, and we're reading an extract from American Notes by Charles Dickens. A visit to scenic Cairo, Illinois, USA. I'm going to send this passage to the Cairo, Illinois Tourism Bureau. They might want to use it in some of their promotional material. The scenery as we approached the junction of the Ohio and Mississippi rivers was not at all inspiring in its influence. The trees were stunted in their growth, the banks were low and flat, the settlements and log cabins fewer in number, their inhabitants more wan and wretched than any we had encountered yet. No songs of birds were in the air, no pleasant scents, no moving lights and shadows from swift passing clouds. Hour after hour, the changeless glare of the hot, unwinking sky shone under the same monotonous objects. Hour after hour, the river rolled along as wearily and slowly as the time itself. At length, upon the morning of the third day, we arrived at a spot so much more desolate than any we had yet beheld that the forlornest places we had passed were, in comparison with it, full of interest. At the junction of the two rivers, on ground so flat and low that at certain seasons of the year it is inundated to the housetops, lies a breeding place of fever, ague and death. A dismal swamp on which the half-built houses rot away, cleared here and there for the space of a few yards, and teeming then with rank, unwholesome vegetation, in whose baleful shade the wretched wanderers who were tempted hither droop and die and lay their bones. The hateful Mississippi, circling and eddying before it, and turning off upon its southern course, a slimy monster hideous to behold, a hotbed of disease, an ugly sepulchre, a grave uncheered by any gleam of promise, a place without one single quality, in earth or air or water to commend it. Such is the dismal Cairo. So we've read the 2 extracts now. And that's taken us less than 5 minutes to read. If you're reading at your own pace, you really have got enough time to read carefully, because it's really important that you understand what it is you've read, because you need to be accurate in the questions that follow. So we've read that, and now it's time for question 1. Question 1 asks us to read again the first part of source A from lines 1 to 4. Choose 4 statements below which are true. The only bit that's tricky here is making sure that you get it right first time, really, because then you're not having to make any corrections, but it does explain what to do if you have made a mistake. So you're to shade the circles in the boxes of the ones that you think are true. Choose a maximum of 4 statements. If you make an error, cross out the whole box. And if you change your mind and require a statement that's been crossed out, then draw a circle around the box. So this isn't meant to be a difficult question. It's simple to true and false, and it's meant to be simple. The first questions in English language papers are meant to build your confidence. So we've got these questions here. If you want to, you can pause the video now and you can attempt the question. Otherwise, we'll move on and we'll think about the answers. You're welcome to pause here, think about your answers, and maybe revisit source A lines 1 to 4 by rewinding the play bar. Otherwise, we'll move on. Okay, so here are the answers. So the writer thinks you should visit Southwest Africa. That's got nothing to do with it, so that's not true. Going to Southeast Asia will reduce your carbon footprint. No, it will not. The writer has been to Phuket. Yes, that place is mentioned. The writer has travelled thousands of miles for a holiday. Yes, the writer has. The writer thinks you should go to Southeast Asia. Yes, that is mentioned. The writer feels guilty for going on holiday abroad. Yes, that's the only bit where there's a little bit of reading between the lines to do, because the writer talks about carbon footprint and the idea that it's quite damaging to go on holiday that far away. The writer has never been abroad. It's travel writing about being abroad, so that's not true. And the writer used to work in a sausage factory. Now that one has got the phrase sausage factory in. If you're rushing yourself, you're going to see sausage factory and think, yeah, that was in there, and you're going to tick it, and that wouldn't be the correct answer. So just make sure you're spending time reading the questions carefully, but it's not meant to be challenging. It's meant to be relatively straightforward here. So that's question 1. In the time that we've had, we've read the extracts and we've carefully answered question 1, ready to move on to the next question of the paper. Okay, check out the other videos on my channel. I'll continue to add content. Feel free to ask something you'd like to see me cover in the comments section. Don't forget to like and subscribe and share, and keep revising.